Hello everyone, it's that time of year again. It's October almost, and that means that it's Victober. And if you haven't heard of Victober, it is a month-long celebration of all things Victorian and Victorian literature, and it's a lot of fun. I did it last year. Anyway, I will just leave some links down below so you can see the hosts of Victober. That's Kate Howe and Katie from Books and Things, and Lucy the Reader. They're some of my favorite vloggers, so you should definitely check them out. There are several challenges throughout the month of October that involve reading Victorian literature. I think it's because I really loved American Girls growing up, and Samantha was my very favorite American Girl doll, and she was a Victorian, so I get extra excited. It's just so nice to have something to look forward to. So if you are looking for some fall spooky reads, or you are participating in Victober too, hopefully you'll love this TBR. And I will just say really quickly, if you are participating in Victober, please link me down below. Let me know what your channel is so I can see your videos and I can see what you're reading, and we can kind of like geek out about all things Victorian literature. And I'm going to get into my first book that I'm really excited about. This is the one that it's the Reader's Challenge this year, which was basically to pick something that you've been meaning to read forever, or that you've had on your Victober TBR before. I've only participated in Victober once, but I strongly thought about The Woman in White reading this last year, and I didn't do it because it's about 650 pages and it's kind of intimidating for as long as it is. This is the spooky classic novel that I hear about constantly. It seems like it's going to be a fun one. I don't know a lot about it because I didn't want to spoiler myself ahead of time. I know it's a sensation novel. It's kind of one of the first Victorian sensation novels. It's one of the first mystery novels. It's by Wilkie Collins. I watched the movie adaptation trailer just so I could kind of get a vibe for it, and there was a lot of mist, and there was a woman in white. I know it has to do a little bit with maybe someone who's escaped from an insane asylum, and there's a romance, I think. I've heard that there's like one of the best villains in literature, so it kind of sounds like everything you want in a October read. And this also is my very first Penguin cloth-bound edition of any book. I am so excited about this. I've been wanting one of these for a while, but I've been hesitant. I've not been sure about the quality. I've seen some pictures or videos of people saying that the paint comes off on the end. Mine has been, well, I mean, I guess I haven't read the book yet, but mine has been fine. It looks really beautiful. I wasn't sure if the Penguin cloth-bounds had explanatory notes in the back or any kind of introductions. I don't like to read introductions before I read a book because sometimes they have spoilers for classic books, but I really like having introductions by professors in the field or something like that, that you can go back afterwards and kind of get like the critical thought or the critical analysis after you've kind of formed your own opinion, which I love. So this has that. I thought for anybody who is kind of considering a Penguin English library, or I guess a Penguin cloth-bound, I thought I would show you a little bit about it, just because like me, I tried to find videos where people were showing inside the book and I couldn't find anything. So if you can see, there's an introduction. It's quite a long introduction. It's like a good chunk. So that'll be fun to read after I read the book. This book is about 650 pages, so I'm definitely going to have to make sure I stay on my reading if I want to get through my TBR this time. And I wanted to show in the back, there are I don't know if you can see the explanatory notes. So it has some appendices and just some extra information. So, and the quality of the paper is really nice, and it has a little bookmark. I was kind of looking through the book, so it came tucked under. But there you can see it's got a ribbon bookmark, and I'm really excited about this. It has, I don't know if they're doves, but they're birds. It has birds. So the next book that I'm really excited about, which involves Katie's challenge from Books and Things. She has an amazing blog and just knows so much about classic literature, especially Victorian literature. But her challenge is to read a book from your favorite genre. It's a Victorian book of your favorite modern genre, I guess. So I actually kind of joked in the comments of her announcement video, and I was like, is Jane Austen a genre? Because that's pretty much my favorite. It's romance, it's got social satire, it's got a little comedy. And so the book I chose is not really comic, and actually I should interrupt myself and say that Katie was awesome and got back to me and actually had some really good suggestions for some Jane Austen-like Victorian novels. One of them is A Drama in Muslin, which is an Irish novel, which I actually really want to read, but I'm trying to do something that's a little bit easier to bite off, I guess, since I am reading the 650-page book. I chose Agnes Gray because it's a little tiny book, this beautiful edition. I got this at the Book Depository. I ordered it and they're just amazing. If you don't know about them, they are based in London, I think, and they ship free internationally, so much better than Amazon. Beautiful quality. Everything comes with like a little cardboard bookmark too, so that's really cute. And I really love this edition of Agnes Gray. The only thing, I'll show you a little closer right here, the only thing I was really disappointed about was that the paper quality is kind of thin. It's almost like really good like printing paper, like if you have a printer at home. So it's a little thinner than I would like, but that definitely wouldn't stop me from buying more of these because they're really pretty. It's really not that big of a deal. You can see the design inside, but it doesn't have explanatory notes. It just has like a little introduction. I always like to know these things, so I'm going to show you guys in case that really like affects which edition you would buy of a book. The Oxford editions are so good, but the covers are really not always that pretty, and they don't always go with the story. Like sometimes it'll be a completely different era, like a Victorian picture for a Jane Austen, which is like the Regency era. This is like a picky thing for me, but I still love the inside of Oxford books. So if you're wanting like a lot of explanatory notes, I would go with Oxford or the Penguin Clothbound. But back to Agnes Gray. Again, I mostly chose this because it was short. It has been on my TBR for a while, so it kind of fits both categories in that sense. And it is a romance, and I've heard this is the closest Bronte novel. This is by Anne Bronte, and I've heard it's the closest to a Jane Austen. It's about a governess. She needs to work to earn her own money, kind of like Jane Fairfax and Emma. So I thought that would be interesting. I think the romance is with a clergyman. I don't know a ton about this one either. I don't think there's a lot of comedy. I feel like the Brontes aren't that funny. That's kind of my thing with Charlotte, is I feel like she's not that funny. I really love Wuthering Heights and Emily because, I don't know, her writing is just so poetic. But even though I like Jane Eyre, I'm still trying to warm myself up to Charlotte, which I'll talk about in a second because I do have a Charlotte book on this TBR. But back to Anne Bronte. I've only read her poetry, so romance seems to fit my favorite genre. Short. Hopefully if I get to nothing else, I can get to those two. And next is Lucy the Reader's Challenge, which is a really cool one, especially for someone who just geeks out about history. I do not have a book for it yet, but the challenge is to read letters, diaries, memoirs, something like that, written by actual Victorians. And if you guys can help me out here, that would be awesome. Please comment below if you have any suggestions for me. Lucy recommended reading Queen Victoria's letters. There's a whole archive online, so I will definitely be doing a few of those and maybe some of Queen Victoria's diaries. I watched the show Victoria. I love that show. So, and I did just read a biography on Queen Victoria earlier this year, so I think that would be really fun. But I also would really love to read something from a person of color during the Victorian era. I really want to be more diverse in what I'm reading and what I'm consuming, and kind of making that effort to understand other perspectives other than my own. I mean, that's the whole reason I love Victober and Victorian literature, just because I like learning about the perspective of someone from, you know, 1850 or 1860. If you have any suggestions for that, that would be great. The next challenge is from Kate Howe. Kate Howe is wonderful. You guys should go subscribe to her. Her challenge I thought was great, which is either to read a new to you book by a favorite Victorian author, or to read short stories from a favorite Victorian author. Now, the only problem for me is, so far, my favorite Victorian author is Emily Bronte. I think she's amazing. I watched To Walk Invisible, the Bronte, not documentary, the Bronte biopic, and I just was so like mesmerized by Emily's spirit and strength, and I just thought she was the coolest. And I love Wuthering Heights. That is the book that got me into classic literature when I was like 15. I had to read it for a high school class. So, and I've read her poetry, so I'm kind of like out of Emily Bronte. I really wish that she had written another novel, but since she didn't, I've kind of been thinking about other Victorian authors that I like. I feel like I've just been dipping around. Like, I've read one Thomas Hardy, I've read one Charlotte Bronte. I've kind of just like read like one or two of each author, but I did end up reading 3 Sherlock Holmes novels last year. I loved it. I love the TV show Sherlock. Sherlock captures the quirky sensibilities of the original books, and I guess I was surprised. I thought that maybe the TV show really modernized it or made the characters quirkier, but they're actually very funny and very quirky. I like the mystery, so I read 3 of them. I think I still have one more novel to go, but I've never read The Adventures of Sherlock Holmes, and I heard that those stories are the best of his short stories, so I thought even if I could just get to one, then I'll do that. I am either going to get a Penguin clothbound of The Adventures of Sherlock Holmes. I'll put a picture up here just because I'm now obsessed with Penguin clothbounds, but I also thought I'd get it on an ebook. And I was going to say, I'm gonna pull it up here. I love iBooks. I am reading right now, I'm actually reading right now The Legend of Sleepy Hollow by Washington Irving, but I just think that you can't even see it at all, but I just think that their format, for some reason, I like it better than Kindle. So if you're looking for like free classic books, and you have an iPhone, I don't have an e-reader. I'm kind of old-fashioned, and I have been getting into ebooks, but especially from the library or like for free classics, but I guess I just don't want to invest in it because I feel like there's just one more bit of technology that I have to keep updating, and I don't mind reading on my phone. And so anyway, if you read on your phone for whatever reason, or you have an iPad, iBooks is really great. I don't know why. I like the way that their classics are laid out, or I just feel like it's easier. Oscar Wilde is another favorite Victorian author of mine. I've read almost all of his plays, and I found out recently that he has short stories, so that's another option. I'm very undecided on the short story thing, but that's kind of like, I'm pushing that a little bit to like the end because I do want to get to the group read, which I'll be right back because I realized I didn't put it in my pile and it's like over there on my bookshelf. I am back. I found Shirley on the shelf. This is the group read this year. I'm kind of mixed on my feelings with Charlotte Bronte. I did really like Jane Eyre when I reread it last year for Victober, so I was really hoping that I would like this one. I got about 300 pages in, and I just lost interest, and I really want to like it. It does have a really good female friendship, but it drags on for me anyway. It just drags on. So I'm hoping that the group read will get me excited about it. I want to hear other people's opinions. I want to hear their thoughts and their excitement because I know a lot of people do love this novel. It is about a mill owner, Robert Moore, and he is determined to introduce new machinery despite fierce opposition from his workers, and he ignores their suffering and puts his own life at risk. And this is set in Yorkshire. And Robert sees marriage to the wealthy Shirley Kilder as the solution to his difficulties, but he loves his cousin Caroline. And Caroline's kind of the main character, and she's a bit long-suffering because she loves Robert, but I just haven't found the plot yet. I'm hoping that it gets more exciting, and if you've read it, let me know if you like it. I really do want to give it a chance, and I am excited to do the group read. I don't think I'm going to reread it, the parts that I've already read, because I do remember it. I just kind of paused. I've picked it up off and on over the last year. I want to try to finish it this year, so I can mark that off my list and either say whether I love it or don't love it. If I do have time for anything else, I'm going to read The Picture of Dorian Gray by Oscar Wilde. That's really the only, that's Oscar Wilde's most famous work, and that's like the only thing I haven't read of his. I have had this book forever. I started it. It seems really fun. It seems perfect for fall. I just wasn't in the mood when I started it. I think I was trying it in the summer or the spring. So I would like to read this at some point, but you know how it is when you have a book that you've been wanting to read, and it's the same with this one, Great Expectations. I have not gotten into Dickens except for I read A Christmas Carol last Christmas and I really liked it, but these books have just been on my shelf too long, and I get too excited about the thought of getting pretty new editions like this beautiful Agnes Gray. So we'll see if I have time for that. And then Kate Howe was watching her TBR and she was talking about possibly reading Tennyson poetry, and that just brought me back to high school because we read The Lady of Shalott, which I absolutely loved. It is the poem that Anne Shirley in the 1980s Sullivan Entertainment Anne of Green Gables miniseries, which has my heart. I love that miniseries. She's actually reciting that poem in the first part of that movie. It made me realize that I really love that poem. I love studying it in school, and I loved it so much that I memorized the part that Anne says in the movie, so I can still remember it. I memorized it just because of Anne of Green Gables, because I am such a kindred spirit with Anne Shirley, because it's about Elaine and Camelot and gives you that King Arthur and the royal knights and like all of that like fairy tale, old English fairy tale vibes. I just love the language. I can still remember it. There she weaves by night and day a magic web of colors gay. She has heard a whisper say, a curse is on her if she stay to look down on Camelot. She knows not what this curse may be, and so she weaveth steadily, and little other care has she, the Lady of Shalott. That was my best Anne Shirley impression. I know she's very dramatic when she recites poetry, so hopefully I did her justice. But yeah, that's still in my head from my school. Oh, and I almost forgot, there is one last challenge, which is a really, really fun one, especially for someone like me who loves style and like experimenting with different outfits and things like that, and dressing up, playing dress up. So that other challenge is to dress in a Victorian inspired outfit, which I will 100% be doing. I didn't wear one today. This is actually a sweater that my mom knitted. I thought it was like all cozy and, you know, pumpkin-y for fall, so it seemed perfect for this. We decorated our living room over Labor Day weekend with pumpkins and lights, and it just made me so happy and gave me like all the fall cozy vibes. So tell me what you're reading this fall. Tell me your favorite classics, especially for fall, down below. And again, if you are participating in Victober, please let me know about your channel and your videos so we can geek out together. And until next time, I will see you real soon.